All right, welcome in everybody. It is Friday. It's Friday night in Japan. It's a reason to celebrate. It's Game 6 of the World Series, but also it's our final show of the season. They told me an hour show where we have no plan and just talk about Major League Baseball would not work, and we proved them wrong. So props to us, but more importantly, props to all you guys in the chat who really showed up for 6 months to talk Major League Baseball. It blew away our expectations for the show. And I already can't wait to do the show next year, with you guys. And then, of course, the college basketball iteration, which starts Monday at 10 a.m., which I hope is as can live up to this, because I feel like we've set the bar fairly high with this show. But welcome in. It's Friday night in Japan, so TB has got the fireball going. And
I do.
We're ready for Game 6. How are you guys feeling this morning or night?
Doing well. And you were talking about the people who are in the chat. I want to thank everybody who makes comments on the YouTube replays. We had 90 comments yesterday. Go back. I don't want to denigrate any of the other shows, but since we don't have a producer and they don't promote us, I will say we had 90 comments in the chat. Go back. They probably didn't have 90 comments in all the other shows combined. They're worried about people viewing. If it's a Twitter thing, when you're going like this, it means nothing. People are communicating with us. We're learning from them. They're learning from us. That's exactly what we wanted when we started. Thank all of you. Thank everybody out there that watches this show and comments. It's great for all of us. Makes us all better bettors.
Yeah, I've said it 100 times. We have the smartest audience out there. They know the game of baseball better than any of the football show audience knows football. So we got a very intelligent audience. We're the only show that doesn't get produced and doesn't get any graphics and doesn't get any promotions. We do everything ourselves. So I want to thank Adam for doing a lot of work behind the scenes. He does basically the ticker you see down there and any kind of graphics or anything that we have. And thanks for Bryan for waking up every morning. Actually, when we first
thank God for letting me wake up every morning.
Yeah, well, when I was in the US in August, I think it was, I had to get up the same time as Bryan because I was in Arizona, and that I could not do that all season. It's much easier to do the show at 10 at night and drink some Fireball than it is waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning to do it. But anyway, it's a good show. That we originally, it was going to be Adam and me. We're going to talk about KBO, Japanese baseball, and MLB. But we thought, you know what? Bryan is very popular. He's got the best record in lifetime baseball record. Let's bring him in and make it a trio. And I think it was the right move. So because Bryan's here, we don't talk KBO, but actually when we mention KBO, everyone in the comments say talk American baseball. So
yeah,
it was the right move.
Yeah, we did adapt on the fly, TB. That's a great memory. I forgot about that. That's actually the reason that where I came up with the name Total Bases originally was a play on words, because obviously total bases is a statistic in Major League Baseball, or a measurement of success, if you will. And I figured total bases was the fact that we would talk all the different baseball leagues. But very quickly, it became more of a Major League Baseball show, which is totally fine. Because, again, I think for me personally, that's what I really want to be talking about. I think I'm always going to have a little bit bigger of an edge in AAA and in KBO baseball, because that's just, and Tokyo Brandon can attest to this too. You probably should have a bigger edge in leagues like that than you do on the most widely bet pro league. And I'm actually, as the year went on, I'm glad we're not talking about those games as much, because the lines move really quickly. You got to kind of get down quick, and it's not everyone can get those types of plays. So I think it works well where, my clients are getting those plays. They've benefited from that. And most, I would imagine most have, managed to find ways to bet them and stuff like that. But the conversation has certainly helped me, because I really feel like we need the hour to break that, to find different ways into what is a very difficult market to beat. I don't care what anyone says. If you can go 6 months and come even a little bit close to beating the MLB market, it's really tough. It's tough to do that year over year. anyone can have a good couple months, anyone can have a good year, but to do that year over year and not get crushed, you're doing something. So I think that this show has certainly helped me do that, and I'm hoping that it helped all the viewers in the chat as well. And
I'm
oh, go ahead.
hijacking the comments and putting the comments up, but just want to let you guys know that I was doing a Saturday show earlier in the season. I was like 3 hours just rambling on, showing you how I do I'm going to do that show again next season. And I might actually do it at a time where the games are being played and just kind of go over a game or something like that. I don't know, but I will do a Saturday show where I just chat and ramble. People seem to like it. I was getting about 500 people watching, not quite as many that watched this show, but anyways, looking forward to next season. This is our last show of the year.
It's our last show of the year because we don't do a Saturday show. The World Series is either going to end tonight or tomorrow. But before I get in it, I am curious, and this you can do on the replay if you're watching the replay as well. Hop in the chat. Let us know how you did this season. Win or lose. Did you do better than expected, worse than expected? I'm just curious. Do you feel like this was helpful to your process, but maybe even more so than wins and losses? Like, did we help your betting process? I'm more concerned about that because I think, wins and losses are going to be what they are. But I think if you can consistently improve your process, that's the important part. And I know for me, again, I think I definitely tweaked my process in a positive way, talking ball with you guys 5 days a week, every single morning, or in Tokyo Brandon's case, every single night out there in Japan.
Well, doing this show made me smarter for sure. When I hear your guys' thoughts, not just you guys, but our comments too, because like I said, our audience is really smart. So it actually changed the way I cap. So I appreciate everyone out there and these two amigos here. So it was a good year. We got possibly 2 games left though. So yeah. I have a 5% play on tonight's game. So
possibly 2 games left. That would require the Dodgers to win game 6. Of course, we are headed back to Toronto. The Blue Jays have the 3-2 lead in the series. Bryan Leonard, somewhat surprising after the way game 3 played out. I thought the Blue Jays might be good to at least get us back to Toronto. I didn't think they'd be coming back to Toronto with a lead. Now they have a lead in the series. How do you kind of see game 6 playing out, and what are you looking at, I guess, for the even for the rest of the way?
Well, tonight we got Yamamoto on the mound against Gausman. The Dodgers are about a 140 favorite, total 7.5. First thing I look at that is that everybody's expecting the Dodgers to come back because they got Yamamoto on the mound. And, if you're looking at the total series price right now, Toronto is about a 220 favorite, and you can get about a 195 back with the Dodgers. So the lines maker thinks Toronto's going to be able to win one of these 2 games. The line where it is tells you that maybe they're expecting them to win the next game, which I believe will be tomorrow if they do play another one. And I'm not so sure the Dodgers are going to win this one. I still think there's value on Toronto, and especially on the over here, because you're getting a 7.5 in Toronto. Other than the last time Yamamoto played the Dodgers, played Toronto, he pitched great. But other than that, who has shut down this Toronto team? So I'm looking at somewhat maybe an over in the game, maybe a Toronto team total. But let's get into the stats here. We got Yamamoto. He's been great all season. His regular season record, 2.49 ERA, 0.99 WHIP. In the playoffs, yes, everybody remembers last time they played 9-inning complete game, gave up 1 earned run. The game before that against Milwaukee, 9-inning complete game, gave up 1 earned run. So we've got a guy here, and he's pitched 173 innings on the season. Last year, because of injury, he only pitched 90. We've already found out from Brandon and also Trig that in Japan you have a six-man rotation, and they don't pitch as often. Well, granted, there was 11 days in between the last two starts, but now there's only this has been 6 days since he went out there again. So he's gone 18 innings, his last two starts, and he's been great, no doubt about it. But right before that, people forget he played the Philadelphia Phillies. He only went 4 innings, gave up 3 earned runs. So he's been great. Give him hats off. He's been terrific, but he is not perfect. And you can tell that by looking at, the way he's pitched this year. He's got 8 losses in the regular season, despite being on the most talented team in Major League Baseball and having a 2.49 ERA. Just because you've got the better pitcher does not mean you win. We've seen that all series long. We've seen that all the way through the playoffs. So I do think Yamamoto's a little bit overrated here. Kevin Gausman, speaking of regular season records, he had a losing record. He was 10-11, 3.59 ERA, 1.06 WHIP. So far, when you take a look at him in the playoffs, last time he played the Dodgers, gave up 3 earned runs in 6 2/3 innings, 0.93 WHIP. That's not a bad outing. That's not a bad outing at all. And that was in the same building. So I would expect him to bounce back a little bit from that, because in the starts before that, he gave up 1 earned run against Seattle, 2 earned runs against Seattle in the other one, and 1 earned run against the Yankees. So the pitching matchup is not as wide as what we see in this line. And from a hitting standpoint, Toronto's clearly the better hitting team right now. I think there's value on Toronto here. I think it may end tonight. There's no way I could lay this kind of number the way the Dodgers are hitting. It could break out at any time. It's obviously, but this bottom of the Dodgers lineup has not done what it's supposed to. They've learned how to pitch to Otani, which is a lot of times not pitch or try to get him to go out of the strike zone. And some of the other Dodgers hitters have struggled. We've talked about it in the past that they've had some struggles out of Muncy. Smith catching those 18 innings the other day. I knew it was going to come back and hurt him, and it has. Freeman hasn't hit well. Teoscar Hernandez, he had a home run every once in a while, but overall struggling. I think there's value here on somehow getting to the underdog Jays here, and it would not surprise me if this is the final game of the season.
You are correct. I agree with you that pitching is not everything. And I also agree that Yamamoto is not perfect, but I don't think Gausman is perfect either. Gausman actually, like you said, has a losing record, but he also has a worse ERA at home than he does on the road, just slightly worse. It's not really alarming. And Yamamoto is actually better on the road than he is at home, which is kind of strange. Yamamoto, have him ranked the number 4 pitcher in all of Major League Baseball. Gausman is a good talent. He used to be very dominant, but he's more like a Castillo kind of pitcher now. In my opinion, he's more like a very extremely solid innings eater that you can rely on. Not dominant, doesn't strike fear into the lineup that he's facing, but he's very good. Look, these two lineups, this is probably the best and the second best lineup in all of Major League Baseball. Maybe the Phillies would be up there, but 2 great lineups. And remember, at the beginning of the season, this park, man, was a launching pad. The totals at this park were like 9.5s and 10s at the beginning of the season, and now we got a 7.5. These 2 bullpens are trash. I mean, maybe, okay, that might be a little bit of an overstatement. These 2 bullpens are not the best. They're probably not top 10 bullpens. At least they're not playing like it. So I kind of agree with Bryan that 7.5 seems a little low to me. That's my first thought. I have a few more thoughts that we can get to as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to Mark. I've got a play up for sale in this game tonight too, so I'm gonna talk more about props here for that reason, and also because I look at the comments every day, and every day people are like talking about more props. So I said, okay, well, I've got my there's a play in the game that I have up for sale, and I'm just going to talk about props today. But then I've got Mark says props talk, Yamamoto and Gossman case. So I'll start there. I have more an opinion. So I have more an opinion on the outs than the strikeouts, but I think you could probably you could probably apply this to either. So I like both starting pitchers under their outs prop. And give you a couple of reasons. So I'll start with Yamamoto. I mean, one thing I've learned from this series is that Dave Roberts is not going to try to manage anything, right? He does not want to be the reason that this team does not win. I think Dave Roberts is looking at his team and saying, okay, I've got the better team. I have the best players. I'm going to let the players just decide whether they win or lose the World Series. Meaning he's not going to go out there and do something crazy and pull Yamamoto early, right? Like, he's just not. He's going to let Yamamoto do his thing. And the one thing I've listened to Major League pitchers that have pitched for the Dodgers talk about the Dodgers organization. The bullpen guys in this organization love it because everything is very clearly scripted out before the game. Now, 18 innings were not scripted out before the game, but that is a total, like, no one plans for an 18-inning game. What I'm saying is, and now there's a couple of different relievers that have gone on record saying when you pitch for the Dodgers and you're a bullpen guy, you know exactly when they kind of want you to come in the game, and you know exactly who they're targeting for you to face. More so than just about any other organization. The one guy that comes to mind is Trevor May. He's pitched for a handful of organizations, and he said the Dodgers, like, bar none, do that better than any other team in the league. And that's like that's like a known thing among players, among pitchers that have pitched for multiple organizations. The reason I say that is I think Yamamoto is going to just be able to go as long as he can go. However, the stars really need to align for complete games these days. And just he's been great, but like, I still think a lot needs to happen to even pitch into like the 7th or the 8th inning. And you talk about Yamamoto, he's now pitched into the 9th. He's thrown back-to-back complete games. The likelihood of him, so two things here. The likelihood of him being able to, A, have good enough stuff to throw a complete game, and B, be economical enough to go that long, I mean, is so incredibly slim. I'm not saying he can't do it. Actually, if there's one guy that can do it, he's probably on a very short list of guys that could come out and just throw another 8-inning gem. But you're talking about 19 and a half outs. So Tokyo Brandon, help me with my math. 19 and a half means he would have to go 6 2/3. 6 2/3.
18 is 6 innings. So he needs to get 2 outs. He needs 2 outs in the 7th.
So he needs to go 6 2/3 to hit his outs over. I would say, just from a probability standpoint, it is more likely that he goes under than over here. And the reason I say that is, and this has nothing to do with even like how good he's pitching. I'm saying that he's going to have to be economical enough to get to that point where A, he's not already at like 100 pitches, or B, he's not getting there to the point where now it's like, okay, there's a matchup that dictates going to what is a very fresh bullpen. And that's the other thing. You got 2 games left. The Dodgers only have 1 game left if they lose here. So you really do have like an all hands on deck scenario. It'd be surprising to me if he just cruises for another 8-inning start. And then it's like, okay, if you lose the bet because he goes 7, that kind of sucks a little bit. But I feel like you're going to probably get 6 from him. And that's probably where it ends, maybe. Like, I could almost see him giving it his all for 6 innings and then someone coming out to start the 7th inning clean. If I had to bet that one, it would be the under. Now, I think the better bet of the two is the Gossman under. And the reason I say that is, if you go back to game 2, that's really where the Dodgers started to get to Gossman, was like the 3rd time through the order. Now, you're the Blue Jays with a 3-2 lead in this series, and you're essentially sitting on 2 starting pitchers, Shane Bieber and Max Scherzer. You've also got Chris Bassett, who can provide some length out of the bullpen. You had a day off yesterday, and you have every arm available. Why would you give the Dodgers the chance to see Gossman a third time here. Okay. Even if he's, and this is where John Schneider, I think Schneider's a little bit more willing to I want to manage. I'm going to do what I think I need to do to get a win type guy. He's not AJ Hinch, but he's definitely shown willingness to be no, I'm going to I think this is going to go a certain way. So I'm going to make a move. Why would you give the Dodgers a third crack at Gossman, given the fact that that's when they started to get to him last time, when you have Shane Bieber, Max Scherzer, Chris Bassett, and all of the bullpen guys available? It's 15 and a half outs. That means Gossman would need to record an out in the 6th inning. Even if he pitches well, I don't think he's going to get the chance to do that. And then, of course, if he's not pitching well, he's probably not going to get the chance to do that either. So I think to go back to Mark's original question, from a pitching perspective, I have less of a gauge on the strikeouts here. I think I'm pretty confident that Gossman doesn't pitch into the 6th inning in this game. I just think the Blue Jays have too many resources to deploy where it wouldn't make sense to give the Dodgers a third chance at hitting Kevin Gossman. So that's the one I'll sort of settle on here is Gossman outs under. Okay. I'll go back to Bryan. Is there
here regarding?
Yeah, go ahead, TB.
Sorry to jump in, but regarding managing now, Schneider is in a very peculiar spot here, because do you throw the kitchen sink at it to get the win here and wrap it up, or are you going to be cautious because you might lose this game and you want to save some people for Game 7? Now, my theory has always been you play for today. You don't even think about tomorrow because you have to win this game. That's my thought. But Toronto technically doesn't have to win this game. So the manager is in a bit of a peculiar spot here. Now, Dave Roberts, on the other hand, he can throw everything at this game because it's do or die here. And I don't expect the Dodger bats to be as cold as they have been the last 2 games. So I expect this to be a pretty tight game. Now, Dave Roberts is easy. I mean, if his pitcher's struggling, you take him out, and you throw your best guys in there, you have to win this game. Now, if either team gets a 5-run lead, then the managerial decisions come into play. So what do you think, Bryan?
Based on the way Roberts has managed for the Dodgers overall, I'm not so sure he pulls Yamamoto out. He has been very slow to pull out these starters, and he's been so good. Wants his best.
Game 1 he has, yeah.
He wants. And who do you trust? I mean, granted, both bullpens they had yesterday off, so if you use a guy today, he can still come back tomorrow. So I'm not too worried about that, unless you're pulling where the guy comes out and throws 40 pitches out of the bullpen, which I doubt will happen. I just don't trust him. He keeps people in too long, and I don't think he has a lot of trust out of his bullpen. And when he does go to the bullpen, he brings in guys that nobody else would bring in. Blake Treinen continues to get. I know he brought him in last game, and it was like 6-1 when he brought him in. But it was once again 8-1 or something when he left. Treinen has not had a good outing in the last month, and I said before he needs to take out Pages, and he finally did last game. Didn't help him much, but the Dodgers need to get more out of that. They've got Pages was great during the regular season, but it's clear if you watch him, he hasn't performed well. And the problem with the Dodgers bench guys is he doesn't play them all. So they're all rusty. None of them will play. He plays the same lineup each and every day for the most part, other than Call that he put in for Pages the other day. I don't like the way he's managed this, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, Otani could come in if he needs to. We saw the other day with the starter was in for a long time, so we'll see how it goes. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how these managers, who we criticized the entire time, can they bail themselves out in a key winner-go-home game?
I have an interesting. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Adam.
Well,
I have a comment on Otani though. When you're done,
I think I know exactly how this is going to play out from like a usage standpoint. So I'll start with the Blue Jays. I think what Schneider's going to do here is he's going to unload the bullpen and try to win Game 6, because he knows that at absolute worst, he could probably go Bieber Scherzer Game 7 and just have him split the game.
True.
So I think you'll see Gossman, and then he'll have his bullpen sort of like who he wants to face and where, and he'll just unload the bullpen guys, because
Bassett maybe.
Oh yeah, like that's the thing. Like,
Bassett,
and even if
right?
like I don't even really count Bassett as a quote unquote like bullpen guy, but like he kind of is now for like this series. But like the fact that he could even go, I have to like double check I'm assuming he'll have Bieber start Game 7. I think but you never know. I guess Scherzer would be like on more regular rest. Point is, Schneider can unload the bullpen here, because even if they lose, and when I say unload the bullpen, he's only going to do that if they're in a lead, right? If they're trailing, like let's say the Blue Jays are down 5-0, well then he's not gonna, maybe you'll see your boy Little out there mopping up a little bit. Like you're gonna keep everyone for Game 7, everyone that could potentially contribute. What I'm saying is tied or in the lead, I think Schneider unloads the pen, tries to win this game. If he doesn't, I think he's like, you know what? Okay, we didn't win, but I'm sitting on two really good pros, potential Hall of Famers, like, Shane Bieber obviously not the guy he used to be, but still, he's still been very good, and he's someone. I think both of those guys are in a spot like this is someone that you could probably count on. So I think Schneider looks at it and says, hey, we're going to give it our all in Game 6. That's how it's going to go. Gossman, we're going to put our leverage guys behind Gossman. That's why I think Gossman could be out a little earlier here. I don't think they have to push him that third time through. And then if all else fails, we lose this game, we've got Bieber and Scherzer Game 7. I will be shocked if you see anyone of American descent on the mound for the Dodgers tonight. I think it's going to be Yamamoto, Sasaki. That's it. No, everyone else get ready for Game 7. I truly believe Dave Roberts is going to, if he's smart. Now I can't speak to his intelligence here, but if he's smart, it's going to be Yamamoto until he's got to come out of game. I'm not saying he wouldn't go to like a Kershaw to get a lefty or something like that. There's situational things where I think he'd ask to get one out. I think you're going to see him go Yamamoto, even if it's only 6 innings, Sasaki the last 3, and get us to the Game 7, and then we'll have our starter, and then we'll follow him up. Then you could talk. I'll let you make your point about Otani in a second. Then we'll worry about it tomorrow. But if I'm the Dodgers, I don't let a single other person toe that rubber unless it's Clayton Kershaw to get a left-handed batter. What were you going to say, TV?
He has not pulled. Yamamoto has pitched minimum 105 pitches in 5 of his last 6 starts. Or 5 of his last 7 starts. So I agree with you there. We're not going to see Otani today, and I'll tell you why. Dave Roberts is talking about possibly using Otani in Game 7. And there's an interesting rule here. If Otani enters as a reliever, if he's DHing, he must be removed from the DH role if he enters as a reliever. He has to, if they want to keep his bat in the lineup, they have to give him a position. So that might put him at outfield. So they're talking about that in Game 7. After he leaves the game as a reliever, he cannot be a DH. That's kind of a quirky rule, kind of strange, but there's never been anyone like Otani before. I don't think we're going to see him today. Like you said, he went 90 something pitches, which is kind of unusual for him this season. Are you itching to say
there's
something?
Zero chance they use him as a reliever. Like literally none.
In
if
Game
they were
7.
going to use him in Game 7, if they were going to use him, they'd have him open the game for an inning and go to someone else, because
that's
like
the
there's
next point.
There'd be zero chance he'd come in as a reliever. That is like, you can send Roberts to Mars if he tries to do that. Just get him out of the next point
that I'm going to make. Yeah, that's the next point I'm going to make. If they use him as an opener, for even just for 1 inning, he can be removed anytime and stay as a DH. So to your point, if they use him, they'll probably use him as an opener in Game 7. So they are talking about how to use him. We won't see him as a pitcher in this game.
I got to be honest. I'll go to Bryan on this. What's the point at this point? Like, they just got to him in game 4. I mean, even if you get to a game 7, are you like even messing around with Otani trying to get him on the mound, or are you just like, hey, go focus on going 5 for 5 and scoring some runs for us? What's your thoughts on that?
From his standpoint, he's a creature of habit. The other day when I went the 18 innings, that's the first thing he talked about was, I got to get to bed. And he did not get his, I guess he sleeps a lot. That's the one thing I got him. I'm equal to Shohei Otani.
Is that a Japanese thing? Kikuchi sleeps like 14 hours a day, he said.
It's not a Japanese thing, but Japanese people tend to be very creatures of habit. And Otani is very particular about his sleep.
Yeah.
And that 18-inning game, he didn't get a good night's sleep that night. And he said it. And his wife said it too. He didn't sleep well. The dog didn't say anything, but his wife and he both said he didn't get a good night's sleep. And that
Can I ask a quick question, TB? Do they? I noticed in Korea, they talk to the players' wives during the game all the time, especially the American players. Is that like, because you're like, his wife said it, and I'm like, how the hell do you know that? And then I'm like, do they like talk to her in Korean or in Japanese media or something? Because I noticed all the playoffs, they had the wives, they're giving him a microphone. Ryan Weiss's wife had like a mic during the game. Like, I've seen it like 4 times in the KBO playoffs now.
Not during the game, no, but his wife is actually a celebrity. She was a professional basketball player, and she's famous, and she has her own cards and stuff like that. So she's a celebrity. So they interview her after the games off and on.
Interesting.
They interview her even if it's not about Otani because she's famous here.
So Otani's the Travis Kelce of Major League Baseball.
Well, she's not famous like Taylor Swift, not at all. He's 150 times more famous than she is. But I knew her name before she married him. Let's put it that way. But I'm into sports, Japanese sports. So, but anyway, I kind of agree with Adam here. Unless Yamamoto completely barfs, which he hasn't really barfed. I mean, he gave up 3 runs against the Phillies, but that's not really barfing. You can still call it a quality start, giving up 3 innings. Or 3 runs in 6 innings is a quality start, right? Or even 5 innings. So I don't think they'll pull Yamamoto. But look, the Dodgers are backs against the wall here. They will do anything to win this game. Anything. The question is, a Yamamoto who doesn't have his best stuff and is getting hit a little bit is. Vessi is out. Is Banda better than that? So it's always, when people say fire the manager, fire the coach, the football coach, who's the alternative, right? To your point, they probably don't have anyone who's better than a struggling Yamamoto. Trying certainly not.
TB, maybe you can help me out with this. So I'm looking on DraftKings. There's a prop, and it's. And every book's going to be a little bit different. So I just happen to pull. They seem to have like sometimes the most extensive prop menu on some of these. So I just kind of default to looking.
I love DraftKings for that.
I think that the market I'd be most interested in is total strikeouts by Dodgers pitching. And I feel like I can't tell if this DraftKings one is combined or like they listed a couple of different ways. So certainly look at your books because it's read the fine print, if you will, on some of these. But because I think it's going to be Yamamoto followed by Sasaki, I'm going to pull up that game 4 of the NLDS, I believe it was Dodgers Phillies was the game. It was Glass now as the starter, but that was when Sasaki came in and threw 3 innings. And I feel like, again, because the Dodgers have to win 2 games, I really, truly believe that it's going to be like, I think they're just going to say, Yamamoto, do your thing. We're going to follow you up with Sasaki. You bring him in a little bit earlier. That way you kill a couple birds with one stone. You don't have to bring him in right in the 9th inning to just be like in the biggest leverage spot of his life. and you pretty much solve the what are we going to do with the bullpen question. Because here's a couple of the other thing. I'd rather burn him here for 3 innings and get like what I believe is the best pitching setup for the Dodgers, Yamamoto Sasaki, than sort of like save him to potentially close out a game 7. That just doesn't sound like a spot that I really would want to put him in. And so then what you do if you're the and of course you have to win here if you're the Dodgers or there is no game 7. So I feel like you use them. You use them similar to the way they used them in game 4 of the NLDS, where it's just, I think Sheehan pitched an inning in there as well, but he was in like a 3-inning role. And then you've got everyone else for tomorrow. You've got Sheehan for tomorrow. You've got who your starter's going to be. What, refresh my memory. Who is the game 3 starter for the Dodgers, Bryan? Who follows Yamamoto?
Glasnow.
Why? Yeah, probably Glasnow.
Yeah.
Yeah. All of that is good for tomorrow. So that brings me back to Mark's original question. He asked about the strikeouts. If you could get a scenario where you're just like backing strikeouts for Dodgers pitching, and you knew it was probably going to be Yamamoto to Sasaki, I feel like a strikeouts over there is a decent bet. And the reason I think it's a decent bet is the Blue Jays do get some offensive credit. So it's not like the line is going to be like so outrageous. Like, some teams that strike out a lot, you would have like a worse line in that regard. But I actually think the 2 pitchers could rack up. If it's those 2, I think you could see the Blue Jays strike out a little bit here. So, and then also Springer's probably back in the lineup, which I think will be a more free swinging sort of guy than the alternative, who was Davis Schneider, or someone that's a little bit more trying to slap the ball somewhere. So I would take a strikeouts over for Dodgers pitchers if it was available. Go ahead, Bryan.
This doesn't happen very often, but I think I disagree with you a little bit regarding the situation. I'm not going to bring your closer in to pitch 3 innings here. You bring him in.
Is he their closer, though? Are we just going to say, is he their closer now?
They'd say he's the closer. You've got Jesse Roblowski, and you've got Emma Sheehan, who neither one of them pitched the last 3 days. I would expect to see one of them go in this game here. They're far better than the other options that the Dodgers have, even though they're guys who have starting in their past. They've been starters, so they can go in there and they can pitch 1 or 2 innings. I don't think you pitch him 3 and then they eliminate him for tomorrow. I think they want to keep your best starter or your best relievers out there, and I wouldn't put him in for 3. I'd put him in for 1, maybe 1 1/4 or 1 1/3 or something. But Roblowski and Sheehan have both had success, and I trust them both, and I believe they're American.
Sheehan's been great in this series, and he was a starter in the regular season when everyone was injured, right? He was going 5 innings.
Yeah,
he's solid, but I don't think they're going to think about tomorrow. In my opinion, it's do or die. I mean, game 7 is weird because in game 7, you might even see Snell come back and pitch in it. I mean, you could see anything.
Oh, he's not coming back. Snell's
not coming back. Just using that as an example, but if he had success in this series, he would have.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But game 7s are weird. I mean, you can pitch a starter on 3 days rest for 1 inning in game 7, which you never see in the regular season. So game 7 of the World Series, there's no tomorrow. I mean, everyone, it's all hands on deck.
Yeah.
I mean, even Snell is possible. So, game 7s are weird, but game 6, if you're a smart manager, you're not thinking about tomorrow, you're winning this game and then worry about tomorrow when it comes, in my opinion. That's just my opinion.
We haven't seen a game 7 in a World Series since 2019. Nats Astros was the last game 7.
The garbage can.
Anyway, Nats Astros, that baby shark song is still just ingrained in my head from that series. I think that was Gerardo Parra who made that a big deal.
Katy Perry and the Dancing Sharks. No, I'm just kidding. That was a super good. Sorry.
But listen, game could go a number of different ways. I think Bryan, I'll come around to that point. It could be Sheehan that they do that with instead of Sasaki, where it's like, I guess the point was and again, I'm not Dave Roberts. Dave Roberts doesn't watch total bases. He probably should, but he doesn't. I just like the idea of like not, getting Sasaki or getting a guy out there earlier than just, hey, it's the ninth inning, because they really don't. That's the thing. The Dodgers really don't have a closer right now, like a traditional closer, unless you want. I mean, they have Blake Trinan, but I don't know that they want to put him out for the ninth inning. So, again, for me, I see this done in Korea every once in a while. It's actually what Hanwha should have done in Game 4 with Dongju Moon. They cost themselves the series by not just like following their starter with their best pitcher and letting him finish the game. I almost think the Dodgers should be more looking at doing that here than like, okay, we need an eighth inning guy. We need a ninth inning guy. I think you get a guy out there. If he's throwing the ball good, you leave him and you let him finish the game. And then all those guys are still out there for tomorrow. Go ahead, Bryan.
What do we think about Springer coming back into the lineup? I am totally wrong, I guess, because I thought he'd be out for the playoffs. They said last game he had his helmet on to come in and pitch run, and they said he was available if they needed him to hit. Now they're going to start him. Somewhat worried about that.
Bryan, I'm glad you brought that up because that was on my list of props to talk about. I would play under Springer props here. I saw people on Twitter yesterday saying that they would play Springer props if he was in. And I'm just in my head, I'm like, the dude has basically got drilled in the knee. He's had he's banged up. He's clearly coming out of the game late, right? Like you're not going to leave if he gets on base in like the seventh inning or something, or if he you probably wouldn't leave him in the game late if there was a situation that dictated getting like someone else in the game. I would play every Springer prop under here, every single one, but across the board, total bases under, hits under. I just other than the fact that he's George Springer, he's probably earned the right to be out there. Why would you have him out over, like, they've got other guys that are playing good ball. Like, why would you have him out clearly banged up and hurt over like a Schneider or someone that's actually contributed lately? That's crazy to me.
Yeah. And there's also the chance he swings too hard and pulls himself out of the game because he hurts himself again. I think Springer is out there for leadership. He's one of the team leaders. Yep. And if you have hurt yourself like he has, do you really want to go out there and swing full?
Bryan, you got to face Yamamoto. That's the other thing. It's not like, you're not facing Tanner Gordon and Coors Field getting a couple at bats.
Is he swinging hard enough to get a home run? I mean, what are the home run props not to get a home run? I mean,
right.
He may only get 2 or 3 at bats. You're laying some chalk.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't think injuries are part of the equation anymore because you have the whole off season to recover unless you're a pitcher throwing out your elbow or something.
You saw as soon as that happened, he pulled himself out of the game, and he's not a guy that would do that. We'll see. I've been 100% wrong. He's back in the lineup, but I don't see a good day out of Springer.
They're talking about using him as a pinch runner. That would be just
the last game.
Yeah, that would be insane to do. Why would you do that? Is he that fast?
Much faster than Kirk.
True.
TK in the chat makes a good point, and I think it makes Bryan's point as well. You're doing it because he's your leader, and you're almost like having him out there. Obviously, like if he wasn't at all fit to play, he's not going to play. But if he's in there saying that, okay, like I feel all right, I can go give it a go. You have to at least this is a guy that's, you might want around for a little while. Like you want, you got to be, it's almost like, you don't want to upset him because you probably want him to be part of the franchise, right? Like he's a guy that I don't know how much time he's got left, but I think he's there for at least another year or two. But the point is, it's like when it's one of your leaders on your team, it's almost like Schneider getting waved off by Max Scherzer a couple games ago. John Schneider in his head was probably like, God damn it. I really wanted to take him out of the game right here. But there's a couple leaders on this team there. And I don't think it's the guys who you think, but I'm pretty sure it's Bassett, Scherzer, Springer are more like the clubhouse leaders. I know for a fact Bassett is because he was the reason they got Scherzer. And then, of course, Springer's probably another one of your guys. I think that's the reason that you would have him out there over maybe, let's say, a Davis Schneider who came in, led off the game with a home run, is playing good as well. I think if this was any other time, you're like, all right, George, take a couple days. We'll get you back in, but it's the World Series. This is what these guys give their whole career to be in this moment. And for someone that's done what Springer's done in his career, you're not gonna deny him going out there in Game 6 and playing in this game. But it doesn't mean we can't bet against it, because he's probably still feeling it a little bit. And like Bryan said, one swing that's a little too hard or tweaked something, he's coming out. And your under bets are hitting. And then at these Mickey Mouse books, your over bets are going to get refunded, but your under bets are probably going to hit. So, that's a good point. Deserves. Yes, it's George Springer at full strength. Of course he's worthy. But what we're saying is the dude is basically nursing 2 injuries right now. And he might give it all he can to go out there, have one at bat, and then have to raise his hand and say, maybe shouldn't have done that, but I wanted to do it because it's the World Series. That's, I think, what we're saying when we're looking at some Springer unders. And then there's just the possibility that you're still up against Yamamoto, and even George Springer at absolute full strength wouldn't get a hit off Yamamoto because he's one of the best pitchers in the league. That's the point I was trying to make.
So you guys were talking about strike props. So this is why I would not take Yamamoto's over, although he has been over 6.5. He's been regularly striking out 7 guys, but I have the Jays, according to my numbers, one of the lowest strikeout teams in the regular season. Now I don't have a separate database for postseason, but I do know that Yamamoto struck him out 9 times his last outing, but they were only striking out 5.5 times a game, which is one of the lowest strikeout rates in MLB. So I would be hesitant to take Yamamoto's strikeout prop today. I think yes, Yamamoto is a strikeout master. I have him at 11 Ks per 9. It's pretty amazing numbers. But yeah, I wouldn't take his prop. I would agree with the other 2 gentlemen here that Gausman's strikeout prop would probably be a better buy here. He's striking out 8.7 per 9, and the Dodgers are striking out right around 8. So if Gausman can go 5 innings, he should be able to hit his strikeout prop today. Just my 2 cents on the strikeout.
I think you could take the Yamamoto strikeout prop under if you wanted to, even though he's had 7 strikeouts and 8 strikeouts his last 2 games. He's at less than a strikeout per inning because he went 9 innings in both those games. So it took him 9 innings to get 8 strikeouts in Game 2 against the Blue Jays. It took him 9 innings to get 7 strikeouts against the Brewers. That's where it's when you look quick, you're like, oh, 8 strikeouts, 7 strikeouts. He's getting his strikeouts, but he had 9 innings to get both of those. That's less than a strikeout per inning. I guarantee you, and I haven't looked at it, but I guarantee you his strikeout prop is based on more than a strikeout per inning for tonight's game. So that's an interesting way to look at it. Bryan, go ahead.
I would agree. And since Toronto's in the American League, I don't have the schedule in front of me, but the chances of them seeing Yamamoto, since he was injured last year and only through 80 innings, and then this year, that was the first time they'd faced him. Now they faced him a week ago. So they know a little bit more about him than they did before. So he was great against him before. I think Toronto would have a little better success against him today.
Yeah. Another thing, strikeout props are very reliant on outs. Like how many innings does that pitcher go? Like Adam was saying, it took Yamamoto 9 innings to get 7 and 8 strikeouts. So, but we're also saying Yamamoto's probably going to go deep tonight, and we'll probably only see Japanese pitchers today. So
Adam says he's only going to go 6, and I would agree it would be lesser because he's gone 18 innings his last 2 starts.
If he goes 6 innings, I would imagine he'll get 6 or less strikeouts, in my opinion, if that's the case. But like I said, strikeout props are very dependent on how many outs you pitch.
Mm-hmm.
I want to make something clear. What Adam thinks they should do and what will happen are 2 different things. Like I was just, I was just saying what I think should happen. I think it should be Yamamoto, and I think they should have their guy, whether it be Sheehan, whether it be Sasaki, whoever their guy is, that they're like, you are our best option. I think the mindset should be pre-planned. Yamamoto until this point, maybe a guy to get maybe a Kershaw to get a lefty or something. And then this is our guy the rest of the game. We're riding with him. Let's go to game 7 and not do the thing where it's like, now I got to bring Trine in. Now I got to put someone in a spot to fail. That's all I was saying. Whether it's Sheehan, Sasaki, that's it. And again, Dave Roberts doesn't watch this show, to my knowledge, so he's probably just going to do whatever the hell he wants, and maybe he doesn't do anything near that resembles that. But I do know that the Dodgers like to script out their thing. The other thing I wanted to say, and then we'll go back to TB because I want to get his opinion on this. I had one more prop I wanted to bring up on the show. I'm trolling the chat now because I go from talking no props, and then people say more props in the chat, and now I'm just going to give you every prop opinion I possibly could for Game 6. Otani over walks is plus money. John Schneider came out and essentially said earlier, yes, I'm sorry, Otani
as
over
a hitter.
walks as a hitter.
Oh, as a hitter.
Otani
Okay.
over walks as a hitter. Over 1.5 is something like plus like 130 something. Now, he went 0 for 4 last game, didn't register a walk. But Schneider earlier in the series essentially said, like, bro, we're not pitching to you. Sorry. Just not going to happen. I kind of like and then of course, like, you know, I think it was important to let Savage go after him because you didn't want him to start an inning sort of, you know, behind. And then of course, Savage had his A+ stuff and he had all the confidence in the world. So even if you had a plan at some point to pitch around Otani, once you saw Savage just doing his thing, that plan went out the window. I could see Schneider being a little bit more cautious in this game with Otani. Over 1.5 walks for Otani is plus money. I think that's a good bet. What do you think, TV?
Okay. 15 at-bats against Gaussman, and he hasn't walked once. That's tough. And take a look at Gaussman's walks on the season. He only walked 1.2 guys per start. So I don't know about that. But
so I got another follow-up question to you.
If intentional walks come into play, then yes. But 2 walks for one batter, that's dicey. But for plus money, it's worth a shot, perhaps.
So if you think Gaussman's not going to pitch around him, then I would also sprinkle, because this is on DraftKings, I just saw it, Otani's first at bat being a home run. I feel like you could, because think about it. If you're saying, well, he's not going to walk him, he doesn't want, then just sprinkle something on Otani leading the game off with a home run. Because if he gets, think about that. If he's not getting anything to hit and he draws a walk, you have all the rest of the game to draw another walk. If he does get a pitch to hit, a lot of times Otani gets a pitch to hit, it ends up well in the stands. So I would take that at
plus 1,400 maybe.
Yeah, and I'm more or less saying just like sprinkle something to offset, because there's a way you hit both, right? Like there's still a long game. I'm saying sprinkle something to offset the walks bet. Like I said, I think it's 1.5 plus money. I'm going crazy here because they wanted the props.
It's very unlike you, Adam.
Money. Hey, it's our last show. We gotta take. It's our last show too. I don't have tomorrow. I got to go to the bullpen. We're going to empty out all the relievers right here as well.
Adam doesn't have the White Sox plus 1.5 today. So
yeah, listen. You can have Otani plus 1.5 walks for like plus 135. I think is what it was. I left that screen. What will Otani's first plate appearance result in? 7-1 for a home run. Sprinkle a little bit on that. It's a little sprinkle. I'm just saying the likelihood it's either you're basically betting on Walker home run in the first, like if he hits the homer, you should have structured it where you've at least made a little bit and then you're free rolling to the walks prop. If he doesn't hit a home run, I feel like that means he probably didn't get much to hit. They're not intentionally walking him in the first at bat of the game, but they might, if Gaussman falls behind, he might be less inclined to throw one, right down the middle, 3-1. Maybe you get your walk and you're chilling right there. So I put my money where my mouth is, David. I'll bet this. I've done stupider things with money than that. But I'm not going to. I don't. Dude,
my question is, I'm not a prop guy. what is Otani's normal to hit a home run in a game? What does that pay?
Usually about plus 170, between plus 170 and plus 200.
Well, normally he gets 5 at bats in a game. With the
He
Dodgers,
probably will.
maybe
They're the
6.
visitors here. He's going to get at least 5 tonight, I think.
Well,
Probably.
you're not getting value at 7-1 is what I'm trying to say.
I said plus
and
1,400. Plus 1,400 would be the lowest that I would do it.
And I'm just saying that is, and I want to make something clear. What I really like here is him to walk twice in this game. I think that there's some value on. He didn't walk at all last game. Schneider's come out and said he's not really trying to mess with him. So that's what I think the good bet is. I'm just saying, I was just offering a counterpoint to your counterpoint that Gausman's never really walked him. Okay. So if you're like, well, Gausman's never really walked him, well, then I'm saying, well, why don't you sprinkle a little bit on his first at bat being a homer? Because he's probably, if you're telling me he's going to get something to hit, the likelihood that he just ambushes something and it's 1-0 Dodgers is not that unlikely. So I'm just saying that's a hedge to the.
I agree with the thought process. I do, but I just don't think you're getting the value on it. He's such a popular player. He's leading off, and we'll see.
Bryan, do you think you're getting the value on over 1.5 walks at plus 135? I think that's decent value. What John Schneider has said, he doesn't want to pitch Otani
I understand that. Occasions. So as long as intentional walks count, I would agree. I would agree that's not a bad play at plus money.
All right. If we're going to talk about props, I'll give you a couple that I think are worth putting some money on.
Let's try to make it quick because we're up to an hour here. And I don't.
Well, yeah,
I'll make it very quick.
In 2 minutes or less.
No, 30 seconds or less.
30 seconds or less.
Dodgers to win the World Series right now is plus what was it? Plus
2-1. Plus 200 at DraftKings.
Yeah, I think that's a good bet for a small one. And also, if you're dying for a hitter prop, Max Muncy has destroyed Kevin Gausman in his career. Well, I mean, he's got a 1,400 OPS in 21 at bats. So I think Max Muncy hits, runs, RBIs over 1.5, or to get a hit in this game would be a good prop. That's just my 2 cents.
I would agree with those.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Muncy. I feel like we haven't heard his name called much. It definitely sounds like he's.
And I have a 5% play today. It's not Max Muncy to get a hit though, but I might add that.
I also have a 5% play. It's going to be in college football. It's my first 5% of the season. It's an early game. It's up there right now. I will have a play on the World Series. I passed the last one. Just gave an opinion in that one. So I'm going to have a play on today's game as well.
Yep.
Let me give you some advice real quick before Adam. Someone just said bet his total bases. Do not bet total bases because if you walk, a walk doesn't count for total bases. Bet hits, runs, RBIs because if you walk, you can still score.
You also just said that Gausman doesn't walk anybody.
Yeah. I mean, if you, I don't think you'll have, but I don't think you'll get the value on an Otani total base prop. I was saying I felt
I'm talking Muncy.
Oh, Muncy, yeah. That makes I don't hate that. That makes sense. All right. I got to play up as well.
Hits, runs, RBIs instead of total bases, though.
I've got to play up as well. If you want it, it's on my page. You know where to get it. Right at the Wager Talk site is the same with all of us. I will be back on Monday. So for you guys that are like, there's going to be no show, that's not true. You're just going to have to rock with me during college basketball for 5 months until baseball comes back. But I've got Bryan Power, Rob Vino, and we're going to bring it. I've given them more homework than they've probably ever had going into college basketball season because I said, listen, like the way I do this show, they could ask about Bethune-Cookman. Someone's got to know something about Bethune-Cookman. So, so we've split up the country.
Delaware State.
What's the time of this game, by the way? This show.
Say that again?
What time is your show?
10 a.m. So we're going 10 a.m. Eastern. We moved it back an hour, more so because the between 9 a.m. and 10 a.m., there's a lot that goes on in the college basketball market for the most part. So we're going to bump it back to 10. a.m. We also don't have Rob Vino lives in the Philly area, and Bryan Powell, we're all on the East Coast. So we don't have anyone out in Tokyo. We moved it back to 10 a.m. We're all on Eastern time. And yeah, we're going deep. So bring your questions. Doesn't matter if it's Indiana State, Richmond, could be, UTEP, whatever you got, we will have an answer for it. We're going to do it 5 days a week. Same format. We're just going to rattle off chat questions for an hour, see what comes up, hopefully a couple of betting angles, and then we'll move on to the next day. So that's what we plan to do here. And then the three of us will be back in March,
Next
right?
year.
Yeah. It'll
Let's
be
do
here
it.
before you know it, though. It'll be here
We
before you know
we
it.
gotta start on opening day, because opening day is like a religion for baseball fans. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And opening day is, I believe, a Thursday now. So we'll definitely start on opening day. I think
Opening day will
is
be our
midweek.
first Total Bases show, the
Yes.
morning of opening day. Let's do it. Promise.
All right, guys. Thank you so much
Thanks for the
tuning
year,
in all
guys.
season. Jump in the replay comments on this one for two reasons. One, we want to leave our bosses seeing a bunch of comments on our last show, and two,
Yes.
I really truly want to know if this show was like how the show benefited you this season and what you would like to see more of for next year or less of. Maybe I know someone's going to be like, how about more props? Well, I'm going to, you know what? I'll if that's what you guys want to hear about, I'll make it more of a point to bring some prop insight each day. It's just not how I've ever bet, but maybe that's how I should be betting Major League Baseball. There's probably a bigger edge on props. So we'll see. But we appreciate the feedback. And thank you guys for tuning in all year. It's been fun doing the show. Enjoy World Series Game 6 and maybe Game 7 tomorrow night, and we'll see you guys soon.